What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 3 of The Mind And this is one of the few times we're actually slowly continuing on the previous episode, just because this dopamine, motivation, and whole concept surrounding it is so important. Today, though, we're talking about decision-making, morality, and how does that correlate to dopamine and stuff. And you'll start to see that it's really a slightly more in-depth look than everything we introduced last episode. But briefly, the most important take-home tips from last episode were, what does motivation really mean from a definition standpoint, and that anticipatory dopamine response to make you feel excited, and it's not that motivation itself. Today, we're going to look at, in the same mind and philosophical, conversational style approach, we're going to look at motivation as it relates to decision-making and morality. And it's an interesting place to step into because what you're really looking at is someone's driving neurochemical reason for doing something. It's not their behavioral or motivational or trauma-based reason. It's what gets created up here that literally makes you do it. So we need to start with decision making. Now, once you get to the age of 25, whether you're male or female, you're finally a fully matured adult. And that's not what everyone likes to tell you, but there's a really important part of our frontal cortex that literally takes that long to develop. So when you're 25-ish is only then the first time you could say, I am who I am, and it's short-lived because you're gonna have some other traumas coming down the line after 25, for sure, that are gonna change you and who you are. But that being said, our frontal cortex is our true decision-making home. It's really centered around how the world's interacting with us around us. It involves socio-cultural repercussions and responses from the past and all these amazing things. So imagine it as you might have 3 decisions or behavior strategies to choose from in response to whatever it may be. The most successful and positively reinforced decision might be option A, which is the highest priority. Option B might be a slightly lazier way to do it, but maybe there's a couple times where someone slapped you on the wrist because you didn't do the best job you could have. And there's option C, which is always there, and it's that pure hedonistic option laying in the most primordial part of your brain that we might cover in the next 1 to 2 weeks. But we have these 3 options like a multiple choice test. And although they individually kind of have their own weight already, dopamine is added to the mix to support what should be the right decision. And the right decision is what we'll talk about with morality in a second. But dopamine is just going to typically enhance the most successful decision or the decision that the person has chosen the most. That's how we're using success in this world, not in the world of the socio-economic and cultural responses. What the world sees and responds to you and your behaviors as is actually different than your perception of them. Dopamine is going to drive your perception, whereas the weight of the decision and your likeliness to make it is driven by the world outside. Now, briefly, as we're going to slide into morality, we're not going to be talking about what makes someone a good or bad person. But quickly, I think there should be some mulling on the concept, and I'll leave you with this. My opinion on what makes someone a good person is someone that has every single reason, right, and opportunity to maybe be immoral or what society deems as bad or just maybe cruel in a certain scenario and just still decides not to. And you're going to see how I've come to that decision really quickly when we talk about this dopamine decision making again. But someone who has A, B, and C option, maybe C is really calling to them because of previous traumas, experiences, etc. That option C is going to seem so appealing, and there might even be dopamine from that frontal cortex, like I mentioned, dripping into it, as well as option A, which is analogous to the angel and devil on your shoulder. This stuff does not come out of nowhere. So what I want to leave you guys with today is the further, more in-depth view conceptually that dopamine is not just a feel-good hormone, it's really excitation. Secondly, dopamine is more about enhancing and favoring what you do most often. And lastly, and most importantly, this is from the first video, it's anticipatory. So if you feel the sudden urge to do something that you maybe don't want to do, give it a few minutes to see when neurochemistry ends and then make your decision. Conversely, if you suddenly have motivation to clean your place or take out the trash, you should absolutely capitalize on that free neurochemistry.